Okay, this video, we are going to draw sloths. Now, I didn't know much about sloths. Elliot is my sloth-loving friend, and so this is for him. This is for you, Elliot. So when I go to draw something, just like we've done before, if it was a flower, then I'd bring up a picture of a flower and we'd kind of look through some of its characteristics, and then that would help us draw it. So let's do that same thing with a sloth today. Now, can you see this cute sloth? Let me tell you a couple things about sloths. Sloths live in trees. They kind of hang. They hang from the trees with their claws. Sloths there's two kinds. There's a three-clawed sloth. You can see he's got three claws on his feet and his hands. Or, let's see if we can make this a little bigger. Yeah, or there are two clawed sloths. So then they would just have two of them. And you can see they wrap those around the tree and hang, and they hang upside down. Now, they're pretty cute. I didn't know much about them before, but look how cute they are. They kind of have these little masks on around their eyes. And then the fun thing about the sloth is he has a constant smile. So his little mouth is kind of in a smiling look. And then his face is kind of circled here. Some of them I've seen where they look like they have little hearts above their eyes. They've got this fur, and they hang on the trees for so long that moss starts to grow on their fur. And you know what that does for them is the moss actually camouflages them, because the trees they're in, they have the moss growing around, and so then when the moss grows right on the sloth, it looks just like the tree branches or the tree trunk. Trying to think of another interesting thing about the sloth. Oh, look at this. Actually, look at this face. You know, owls' faces are kind of round like this. They've got feathers, but they have this kind of round look. Well, the reason I even noticed that is because the thing about sloths is, just like owls, is they can turn that head around almost 360 degrees, and owls can turn their heads all the way around. And I don't think there are any other animals that can do that, but this cute little sloth can do that. Another thing about sloths are they're very, very slow. They'll eat a leaf in a tree, and it takes them one whole week to digest that leaf. So that's their whole system's moving really slow. Now, if they were to walk, they only walk, and I'm going to look on I took some notes here. If they were to travel, they only travel 125 feet a day. So that's extremely slow. I don't know how big a football field is, but I'm guessing that that's less than a football field. The other thing about them is they are good swimmers, and the amazing thing is they can hold their breath for 40 minutes. That's really quite amazing. But so what we want to look at is we can kind of see this face. It has these little masks or dark fur that comes down on their eyes. It kind of gives them a sleepy look. Oh, do you know what? If this sloth is in captivity, so like in a zoo, it will sleep up to 12 to 20 hours a day. Now, if it's out in the wild, it only sleeps 8 or 9 hours a day. But so he's a very slow, sleepy guy, kind of cute. Okay, let's look. Now, one thing that Elliot really thinks is funny about him and likes about him is they go to the bathroom only once a week. And so they're hanging up in the tree all week. Then they climb down the trunk of the tree. They hold on to the trunk of the tree and squat down and poop. And that's kind of a very funny feature of them. But so, because I didn't know a whole lot about sloths, I did go for these references, and I want to see see this one right here? They all look a little bit different. Not all of them have these little masks on, but the masks are what really make them cute. And so we're going to keep the mask on them. But you can see here, this is a dark area around their mouth and their nose. Now, I didn't really make that dark area there, and the reason I didn't is because sometimes if you want something to be kind of cute and simplified, then you just notice the most prominent features of them, and then that's what you put in. So see, on this one, I told you about the roundness on his face. This one I've kind of put 2 lines in to almost make it like a heart, the top of a heart there, and this one too. This one a little bit. This guy didn't turn out quite so good, but you can see how here's the branch. This one's a 2-toed sloth because there's 2 toes on each. He's got the 2 back legs and the 2 front legs, and he's kind of furry, so we'd have to put some fur on him, and we can do that after we paint him, or we can just do that right now. And then this one, his head is sideways, so here's this little mask and there's this little smile, and that's his little nose right there. So I drew these faces to kind of simplify. So let's look again at the characteristics of the face that make him so cute. His eyes are just normal eyes, so we're going to do 2 eyes. Now they're not real close together. In fact, they're quite far apart. The nose is going to be right in here, and it's kind of a regular nose, a little triangle, and then this smile is there, and sometimes you'll see that under here. But then with the eyes, if you take these masks, kind of come down, it kind of adds to his slow feeling. And then when I break it down, then I kind of noticed that he kind of has a coloring around his face that's a little lighter than the rest of his head. And so that's where we're creating this little sloth. So what we did is, again, we simplified the drawing. We looked at the characteristics that make it unique for a sloth, and then we only drew those. And we could make it kind of a little bit like that, where he's kind of black in there where his nose and mouth are. So the other things that we talked about is his arm. So this one is a 3-toed. Now they're kind of long. The arms and the legs are quite long as they're hanging. And so here's just a real easy arm. Let's draw another easy arm. We'll go down, and we'll go down. We'll bring it a little closer together, and we'll make a long little toes. So this is a 2-toed sloth. There's the 3-toed sloth. And the legs are exactly like the arms. They're just long. There is some fur on them. When we get some paint on these, we'll kind of come back and create some fur. No tail. I didn't notice any tail on them. If I'm wrong, somebody tell me, of you guys that know sloths, but if I'm wrong and there are tails on them, I did not notice any tails on them. And Elliot, like I said, he's been editing all my films for me, and he's the one that loves these sloths. And so maybe you can edit in, Elliot, if there's something about a sloth that I haven't really portrayed right. You can kind of maybe include what needs to be corrected, if there's something that needs to be corrected about him. I'm going to bring in his little, and I think I've mentioned to you before on other animals, is I like to leave a little bit of white in their eyes, and the reason is it kind of allows for that to look like there's something alive or going on inside there. So I've noticed that those kind of come round, and I really wanted his little mouth area to show up. So I'm gonna add the nose. Now we're going to add the little mouth, and that is what makes them so darn cute, is that little mouth that always seems to be smiling. See, we can come in and we can do these faces too. But I wanted you to see the characteristics of the sloth. Then we can come in and just add color. The toes are always light. I didn't notice any toes or fingers that were dark. So those are always going to be a lighter feature than the other parts of the sloth. But I'm just giving just a little bit of color to this one. And then we'll go ahead and let Elliot go ahead and let him edit this, and that'll just be a fun little video on these darling little sloths. Now I'm just trying to think. I think they live with the moss. They must be living in kind of a rainforest, and I have to confess, I'm not exactly sure where you're going to find a sloth out of captivity. I'm guessing maybe Australia? I really don't know. So, Elliot, another thing maybe you can edit in here. I've gotten green, but really the branch is going to be very similar to the color he is. So that's not really. The leaves will be green. And how long did it take him to eat one leaf? He eats the leaf and it takes him a whole week to digest that leaf. Isn't that crazy? So sloths are pretty darn cute, but they've got those kind of unique, endearing features. Their little smiles and their little eyes, a little bit like a raccoon. I looked up a raccoon just so I could kind of see the difference, and the difference that I noted was that the raccoon, his little eyes, they weren't as narrow as this. They the darkness came down just a little bit more. So that was one of the differences. Okay guys, I hope you draw some sloths. Oh, one thing we want to do is be sure to sign our work, and then have fun. Have fun trying to draw a sloth. If you get a chance, send me your pictures because I do love to see them. Okay, thanks guys, love ya. Bye-bye.